is here and there to.
Correct, if they're available, yes.
Because I think that the issue that has been is even after we'd had that discussion, what's his name, Ron Wood had come in and he goes to Karen's office all the time, just pulling down, money's being paid well after, like a year or two after we'd had the discussion that we weren't using the gal from Reno anymore.
Yeah, well, that was still the same contract year though. Yeah, it was just
Well, we're not,
recheck.
so we aren't using the out of.
I don't have any contracts right now.
Okay.
Mainly I wanted to make sure how much money I had.
Maybe
and
that's
how
why I
much to-
haven't, that's why I haven't heard much from Mr. Wood lately.
Be correct.
Thanks.
I have a question. So like, on this budget, unit here, okay, so if you go to, probably for Karen, I'm just trying to work out how to follow the thing here. So like, okay, Fund 130. On the, for the 13 and 14 department request on the revenue, it gives, gives a request and then it gives the CAO recommended. And some of the money that was requested, it goes over the exact amount, others, nothing goes over. Is that also because there's, like, it's about 100,000 short of what they requested? Is that also because there was a
No,
carryover?
between the department request and the CAO recommended,
Yeah,
the difference, that's probably because I think the CAO or the department requests were last year's budget, Julie? Is that correct?
No, no.
Okay. That's a,
If you're looking at the entire Fund 130, or are you just looking
no,
at?
like, say for instance, I'm looking at, the ones where the department request total 168,900.
Okay,
Which
yeah.
page are you on?
Well, what happens is sometimes the department,
Revenues.
130.
the DA submitted that they were gonna get $68,880 from the Narcotics Task Force grant, but that's not what was happening. So when I know that the money is not going there, then I took it out.
Okay.
So sometimes that will happen.
Okay, and then,
let's see.
like state vehicle, the thefts, there was 30,000, and then there's nothing in the
Well,
recommended.
This is now into the district attorney, so I think,
Well, I'm just asking in general, on this fund here, this, it's still underneath that fund 130.
right. Well, 0431 is the district attorney, and no, that 30,000 is not gonna be realized this year.
Okay. So that's why it doesn't go over, just because it's.
Sometimes the department will think something's happening, and if it's not happening, then I will
I see.
make the recommendation to you to not put it there.
Okay. So sometimes that's the reason, other times just because there's a big carryover balance. They don't need it.
No, these revenues, it's whatever it is. gonna
Not
be.
these, but like earlier, in the one example I brought up to Karen, you said it was 100,000 short because they had $100,000 carryover. It will-
Right, so a carryover balance isn't included, budgeted as a revenue or anything, so.
So
you-
sometimes that would be the reason, other times it would be just because they thought it was gonna be available and it wasn't.
If the revenues or the expenditures are changed, it's
Yeah.
probably because I have made the judgment that that's not going to happen. And so my recommendation is, I'm saying the department thinks this is gonna happen and it's not, so I'm recommending to the board, this is what's gonna happen. So the CAO recommended column is what they're gonna get.
Okay, so the example that I brought up this morning, it was a different reason, so that was kind of the exception to the rule.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember which one that
It
was.
was with,
With sheriff?
yeah. It was about $100,000 less than was recommended, which was requested, and it was due to, you said there was a surplus balance.
Oh, that was in the boat patrol, wasn't
Yeah.
it, in the 112? Yeah, so and that was it, that they were planning, their budgeted expenditures
Okay.
were increased because they were planning on spending part of their beginning fund balance.
Right.
Yeah, the whole thing, it's just another way where it's really It's just difficult, not that there's an easier way, but like, this is another example, the money's less, but there's a different reason. The other one, because there was a surplus, this one just because it
Right.
doesn't happen, so.
There's no consistency. For every goal, there's 10
Right, I
exceptions.
could see that.
Well,
yeah, so
sometimes
anyway.
what happens in March, the department will be putting their budget together in March, and they'll think they're gonna have a carryover balance of a couple $100,000, but when actually June 30th comes and the books are getting closer to being
Right.
closed, like
Yeah.
closer to now, they might have overstated that or understated that. So sometimes, like in the inmate welfare fund, and I think this has happened, they ended up budgeting in the red because they thought they had more carryover than they actually had. So I just talked to the department, I say, okay, where can we pull this out from? Because you can't budget to end the year in the red, and so sometimes the adjustments, I think that's what you're talking about. They probably thought they had more than they actually had. And in that one, I think they budget their expenditures
Mhm.
completely.
Okay. Okay, thanks. Thank you, thanks. Mr. Chairman.
Any more questions for you, Aaron?
I know, because we're a public defender now, right? And
Correct.
so, how much of this money of your budget is reimbursed by the state? I'm trying to look at the income and kind of figure that out, and I don't see a whole lot coming in. It's just all county stuff? All comes
Okay,
from us?
that's gonna be a, that's gonna be a current
It's a
question.
county
because
charge, there's really
Yeah.
nothing reimbursed for the public defender. What is being reimbursed is the cost of the homicide trial, which is in the public defender conflict budget, not RIA's.
Now, we do, I think this goes into the general fund, we do take cases that are considered reimbursable from High Desert State Prison. We didn't do that before, but when people come in, they are not the inmates at the prison, but they are muling the drugs in, or taking the drugs in, and they get caught. In fact, I think we have 3 on today that just got caught in custody.
Actually, it's
One person
four,
is
it's
twice.
4, and one lady is twice.
Oh, really? Oh, okay, well,
We
those
don't
are my
have-
two
Twice
clients
within
at
the
4
weekend.
o'clock, yeah.
We're gonna help you get ready for custody.
Well, thank you. What happens is, we bill, there's a, through diversified management.
Right.
We give them a bill, but I think that goes directly into the general fund. I don't know if it's,
No, it
Count
goes
it, we
into
don't get-
Fund 130,
Yeah.
so.
we don't get credit for it.
Fund 130 is pooled because they really don't receive a whole lot of revenue from any source other than general fund, except for public safety sales tax. And again, going back years ago, Jim will remember when we separated the public safety fund, the county had to define what public safety was in order to receive a portion, I think, 0.5% of the, 0.5% of the sales tax for public safety. So all the funds, all the budgets in the Fund 130 fund were part of the description of what public safety is.
Yeah,
And that was
that's really
DA, public
yeah.
defender, jail.
It's a sub-account of the general fund. It's
Correct.
one and the same, but it was designed to be able to, because of the sales tax from the proposition, I wanna say back in, what year it was, back in the 90s, 97 maybe, back about when Pete Wilson and Gray Davis was first coming into office and Pete Wilson was leaving. But anyway,
Proposition 172,
172, what year was
Right.
it?
about in 92, I think.
Was it 92, that early? I think it was, I thought it was a little bit later than that. But yeah, it was, yeah.
It was partially to offset the loss of property tax revenue zero.
Well, I think what it was is the sheriffs kind of went to the legislature and the governor and said, instead of them having to compete elbow to elbow with everybody else in the general fund, they wanted to kind of segregate their portion. And it worked probably for a while, but then all the realignments come in and that just further scrambled it all. So
Right.
there's no clarity.
And we,
So of the almost $11 million in public safety expenditures, $5 million comes directly from general fund, and about $1.25 million comes from public safety sales tax. And the
Which
rest
is the Prop 172.
which is Prop 172, and the rest is just kind of a hodgepodge of other.
now, I do get transfer-ins from AB 109 monies. It's not a whole lot for our county. I think it came to, what,
6,000 or something.
13,000.
13, it was like 13,000.
For you.
For
You-
us,
you-
for
it was
specifically.
It was 5,000 in one, and then you got half of a
$5,000.
$16,000 pot. So,
Right.
Yeah.
And then also, we do have a nominal billing. Every once in a while, we do get appointed people that are on the cusp. They really can't afford an attorney, but they do make money. Juveniles are given an attorney no matter what their parents make. So honestly, when we bill out a juvenile, it's like $200 for the entire case. Or a misdemeanor jury trial is like $150. So we're quite a good deal for people that, you know, make money but can't afford to go spend $10,000 on a retainer. The courts will appoint them.
Then we'll take them over to the juvenile hall and kick them into the group home and pay $6,500 a month.
There we go.
So you are.
She'll get them all.
Yeah, yeah. But I've always told you, we're the best money, the best attorney's money can't buy. So,
Are your rates comparable to other rural counties?
you know, I don't know if a lot of them actually bill out. Bigger counties, somebody did a poll once, one of the bigger counties, but I don't know what the results are from the chief defenders. That's something I can talk to. We have a meeting coming up and.
Reed, how many cases a year does your office handle roughly?
Approximately 1,100 to about 1,500.
So say 1,100 cases for $500,000. How many cases in the conflict?
You know, I've been told that it's like maybe 200-300 at the most. So
On the fund just before the conflict, at $438,000, you're paying for 200 cases. On the public defender for $539,000, you're paying for 11,000.
Less homicides.
well, no, yeah, less the homicide. The homicide's always going to be more expensive, but and I can tell you, I look at cases sometimes and I go, do I have to conflict on this one? Because I think of the budget. I think of what goes over to that other thing. And, you know, sometimes, like you said, in a small county, it's just, it's like, oh, why do these people hang out around each other? Because, you know, they're co-defendants or they're husband and wife. We've had them before, and we can't have them, you know, we can't represent victims. We cannot cross-examine former or current clients. So, or a recipient witness that was a former or current client, and that causes a problem. So I keep them as long as I possibly can sometimes before I conflict out. So.
Anything else?
Well, actually, to be honest with you, Mr. Chairman, I mean,
Yep.
given some of the numbers we had in years past, and given some of the proposals that were made to like just contract it out altogether, the numbers that we're dealing with here is extremely affordable compared to what we could have.
And some of those numbers represented egos too.
Yeah.
No comment.
And I appreciate what you tried to do.
No, I think the department can run it very well. Rita. Thank you very much, I appreciate it.
Just stay away from that investigator lady in Maria.
Yeah, I've been avoiding your email, actually. Any other questions, or?
Anybody have any questions? Larry, if you'll
Okay,
indulge,
thank you.
indulge us, we'll probably take a 5-minute break. If I don't, the clerk's gonna.
She didn't get a break.
She is, you know, ultimately, she is the boss, right?
She is.
So we're gonna take a 5-minute
Thank you,
break.
Larry.
No, it's. Is that what it is? You can say it right if I take you a few minutes.
You should go to my office, because my office I have to wear a sweater. I decided to forget trying to figure it out. You either freeze or you
That's
freeze
at
out.
3, right? You're on your way.
Who's got the third?
I do, that's the problem. That's the good thing. But if you have that, in our building on that side,
Catch up with
you've
those
got that.
investigators, you know, they're in Walmart.
You have that fan. The fan's always on because of the circuit.
That just happened to me yesterday.
I usually.
But that's okay, that's fine.
So do I. So Darcy and I.
Okay, I don't bother. I've tried it a couple times, I turn it up, turn it down, and then it's too warm, it's too cold.
Telling you not to make
It's just that old. You have to deal with this new.
He's got lots of houses, cats, but that's like one of them.
Yeah, I hear it in my.
It's along the museum.
I'm the one that goes, no.
Yeah.
I get cranky.